Hello and good evening once again. Welcome to the UBC News Tonight. It's exactly 10 o'clock this 26th day of March. My name is Wadulo Arnold, Mugalu, Mohammed on sign language. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. Tonight, President Yoweri Museveni, we have him and the First Lady being vaccinated in our news. Furthermore, the incumbent party MPs left out to conclude legislation. And Christians celebrate Palm Sunday tomorrow. While the She Cranes edge Namibia 49-28 for the first win at Spa Challenge Tournament. Corrected, is the 27th day. Now, to start off our bulletin tonight, President Yoweri Museveni has been vaccinated against COVID-19 this Saturday at State House in Entebbe. He joins world leaders who have been vaccinated. Now, President Yoweri Museveni's move to accept the vaccination against COVID-19 will now give confidence to the population amid several fears, myths and misconceptions surrounding the vaccine. These are the details.
President Yoweri Museveni and the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Kataha Museveni, have got their first doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine as protection from the COVID-19 virus. Speaking shortly after being vaccinated, the president urged Ugandans to get vaccinated as a protection from severe sickness and death. The president said he decided to take the vaccine because it protects one from severe sickness and death.
The reason I decided to take it, because my identification is aimlessly, is that somehow, although it may not stop the virus entering, the South African virus and the one of Brazil, it may not stop it entering your body, but if it does, you will not be very sick. This is what I was told. You will not be very sick, you will not die, so you are off the dying list.
The president said he's working with Ugandan scientists to fast-track Uganda's vaccine.
My people will be ready to try on the mice, on the rats. Some rats called mice. Are they rats or rats also? My people will be ready to try on the mice by June. And after we try on the mice to see whether the vaccine affects the mice, then by August our people should be able to try on either the monkeys, or if we get permission of the WHO, to try on the human beings direct, jumping the step of the monkeys.
The president said government will procure more doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Dr. Ruth Acheng said the vaccine protects one from severe disease and death.
And the more people get vaccinated, then the greater the opportunity for all of us to get protected, but also to ensure that we don't have our hospitals congested with very sick people. And so it is important that people get vaccinated with the AstraZeneca vaccine that is readily available now, as we wait for our own vaccine that is in the process of research.
There are several strains of the virus circulating globally. This includes the variants from South Africa, Brazil, United Kingdom and others. Even in Uganda, there are variants, but these do respond to the AstraZeneca vaccine. So it's important that everyone takes it, Dr. Ruth Acheng emphasized. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
In other news, re-elected members of parliament from the ruling National Resistance Movement have not been invited for the upcoming retreat at the National Leadership Institute at KYANKWANZI. Now, the reason is to enable the conclusion process for the current parliamentary session, which is scheduled to end on the 29th of April 2021. The government chief whip, Ruth Nankabira, says that the move is to respect the calendar of parliament that was recently issued by the speaker.
It is coincidental that ruling National Resistance Movement Party is scheduled to hold its annual retreat while Parliament comes to an end after 5 years.
And I must take this honor.
The retreat aims at, among other things, orienting newly elected members of Parliament into NRM party procedures.
You remember very well that after 5 years, after elections, the NRM takes its members to KYANKWANZI. So this is a normal program.
Unfortunately, reigning members of Parliament who subscribe to the party and were recently re-elected have not been invited. It is not in bad faith, but because parliamentary business has to be concluded as the session officially comes to a close.
So we have to stay in Parliament to transact parliamentary business. Unfortunately, it would have been very, very good if everybody reported. Unfortunately, the Speaker gave us her calendar, which we have to respect. The calendar ends on 29th. The swearing in of the President is on the 12th. And you can see that there will not be enough time if we were to wait for the conclusion of the parliamentary calendar so that everybody reports to KYANKWANZI.
It is not clear whether the race for speakership, which of late has become a household debate in Uganda, will be on the agenda. But with or without it, some incumbents would have wished to attend. The recently made statement by Buyaga West Member of Parliament, Barnabas Tinkasimire, is clear indication that he was anxious to attend.
I am happy that I am not only a voter at the national level. When we are in the House, I am a voter in the caucus.
Whereas incumbents like him have not been invited, Nankabira says this will not be the last NRM retreat to be held in KYANKWANZI.
There is chance in future. KYANKWANZI is supposed to be done annually. So there will be chance for another time for everybody, every member of Parliament who is NRM.
The upcoming retreat is meant to last for 14 days, starting from 7th April 2021. President Yoweri Museveni, who doubles as the NRM party chairman, is expected to officiate at the event. Henry Okorut, UBC.
The Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, His Grace Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, has urged Ugandans to change their behavior and respect each other. Kazimba says that since God owns life, no one is entitled to take another's. Now those words were contained in his message at the eve of Palm Sunday.
This Sunday, 28th March, is Palm Sunday, a week that proceeds to Easter Sunday. Palm Sunday is the triumphant entry into Jerusalem by Jesus Christ. Palm Sunday was celebrated indoor last year due to COVID-19 pandemic. However, this year Christians will celebrate this day in their places of worship.
I want to call upon Ugandans. Nobody should determine the end of somebody's life. This life belongs to God. We are just stewards of it. And that's why I want to call upon every Ugandan to ensure that you are a good carer of your brother or your sister.
The Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, His Grace Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, urges Ugandans to love and protect each other as the country enters the Holy Week that begins with Palm Sunday.
You are in the government? Please utilize your office very well. Corruption shouldn't be encouraged. because you are not supposed to have that office, to eat as if you have never eaten. You find the short men, women, they are grabbing land, you'll be buried and you disappear completely land also. So let us also consider others, because you grab this land, you'll be buried in 6 by 4, and that is the end of it all. How about when you go in heaven? You will go with nothing.
Archbishop Kazimba wants Christians to be humble during this Holy Week and the days after.
Humility. Humility. We should humble ourselves. Jesus humbled himself, and the donkey also accepted to be used by God, by Jesus. So let us humble ourselves, whichever offices we hold. The life you have, the life I have, the breath I have, it is not mine. It belongs to God himself. God gave you this life. That's why you don't need to make a decision to kill yourself.
Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
In other news, cattle raiders have attacked the kraal of Lotiong Benjamin of Karenga Town Council in Karenga District, taking off with all his livestock. Now over 145 cows were at the kraal, and by the time the raiders attacked, they found the herdsmen taking them out of the kraal to the grazing point.
A Karamojong livestock keeper identified as Benjamin Lotiang was lucky to have 80 cows of his livestock rescued from a suspected rustler in Karamoja sub-region. The cows were rescued from the foothills of Oromo Hills, though 65 are yet to be got after the suspected thieves who had vanished in Oromo Hills. Lotiang is a resident of Karenga Town Council in Karenga District. A joint statutory team headed by the resident district commissioner Mpimbaza Hashaka pursued the suspected thieves into the hills of Oromo. Mpimbaza Hashaka, who headed the team, is now seeking for reinforcements to assist in tracing the warriors.
And we've had the theft of animals today from Karenga town, and after they stole them, we quickly got an alert from the Wananchi after the theft, and have helped carry the army together with the Wananchi, and we have now deployed, and already as we talk, these are some of the cows that we have recovered, and more are going to be recovered.
Hashaka explains how they managed to rescue some animals from the suspected thugs.
This is the route they take. From Karenga side, they come to Morunyang or Pire, then they enter Kacheri. But now we have already surrounded, we have now recovered these ones, and I'm very sure by 100% that all the other ones are going to be recovered, because we already had, we have received 2 Mamba vehicles and the anti-stock theft unit. So as we talk, the Mamba is coming, the advanced team of the army and then the Wananchi, armed with spears, arrows and guns, have already surrounded this place, and I am really very sure that we're going to have them. And the message I've been giving is that when you come to Karenga now to steal, you either make your final will or get ready to be taken back when you are lying horizontal.
Some of the locals who helped in tracing for the thugs have told the tricks used by thugs.
They got the one person in the kraal only who was taking after the animals. So they read it like that. So that person was the only person who was having the gun. So that person had to call that you come, they have raided the animals. That's why we have just come.
You can raid any time then. These people have these spears of ours, even arrows they use. Everything they use doesn't have objects.
Hashaka now wants the Karamojong to stop the bad practice of cattle rustling and focus on developments.
Now, the government of Uganda has committed itself to the revision and resumption of the Media Act in order to create a better working condition for journalism practitioners while attending prayer celebrations at SDA Church, Busega, on the invitation of Adventist media practitioners. The Minister of ICT, Judith Nabakova, noted that it's through the repeal of the Act that the current media can withstand its challenges.
Seventh-day Adventist Media Association has this Saturday convened for prayers at Busega SDA Church. However, condemnations against media brutality by security agencies and other sections of the public did dominate the prayer proceedings.
Tebijja kulinda bakubi bannamawulire baadiventi bokka era tetujja kulinda bakubi bannamawulire abatali baadiventi tulyoke twogere ku nsonga zino. Eddembe lya bannamawulire mu Uganda liweebwa ekitiibwa. Omulimu gw'amawulire muzibu naye gwali guyitibwa gwaffe. Emirimu egisinga kuba kuyitibwa, obusawo kuyitibwa, obusomesa kuyitibwa, obusirikale oba obujaasi kuyitibwa, amawulire kuyitibwa.
In attendance was the Minister for ICT, Judith Nabakoba, who was the chief prayer.
We shall plan together with the various stakeholders to find ways of addressing the challenges you are facing right now. We have the Media Council in place. We are going to work with the Media Council, first of all, to make sure that at least we have trainings for the media personnel.
Whereas Nabakoba acknowledged the role played by media in disseminating information, she advises that no life is worth a news story.
At times, information which you give, you face a lot of challenges in the course of your duty. But my advice to you, dear friends, is to always be mindful that life first. There is no story which is worth your life. No story, even if you try to convince me. So, priority should be given to your life. If you see that a story may put you in danger, please don't go for it.
Nabakoba, however, asserts that the resurrection and repeal of the Media Act, which expired years back, is the only way that media can withstand the current digitalization effects.
The presence of the digital media, the new media, the citizen journalism, meaning that a lot has taken place over years. So this law that has taken over 20 years needs to be re-amended. We need to look at the provisions and see which provisions can we continue with and which other provisions can be probably removed, and we insert in new provisions that will take care of the new media technologies.
Seventh-day Adventist Media Association is a bloc formed way back in 2013 with a handful of members, but to date, over 300 media practitioners across all media fields are part of it. In attendance was also our own Emon Ngabo. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
The Directorate of Industrial Training at the Ministry of Education and Sports will conduct competence-based assessment level 2 beginning Monday, 29th of March. The acting director, Directorate of Industrial Training, Patrick Byakatonda, appeals to assessors to be objective when exercising their duties.
Over 40,000 candidates from 233 sitting assessment centers countrywide are to undergo a competence-based assessment level 2. They are to be assessed in 30 vocational occupations, including electrical installation, bricklaying, motor vehicle mechanics, hairdressing, among others. The acting director, Directorate of Industrial Training, Patrick Byakatonda, says 1,400 assessors, verifiers and coordinators have been deployed to evaluate the exercise. He calls on them to be vigilant while exercising their due responsibilities.
So when they go for assessment, one, they should portray the image of DIT. Number two, they should not involve in issues of getting money from institutions. We have catered for them, all of them, and they should do a professional job.
He also reminded institutions to observe COVID-19 prevention guidelines.
And the social distancing is going to be observed, and sanitizing of machines. When one machine is used, before another candidate uses it, it will be sanitized.
The acting director in charge of assessment and certification, Dr. Michael Kumo, says the directorate has embraced digital technology to minimize errors in the certification exercise.
As EIT, we have embraced digital technology. So we have assessment and certification management system where one of the components is online registration. So the candidates you are going to assess, whether it is model assessment, workers pass, or level 2, all these candidates have been registered online.
He appealed to institutions to desist from awarding certificates which are not recognized by the Ministry of Education examination entities.
In more news tonight, a section of youth in Masaba sub-region have protested against the resolution that confirmed Jude Mike Mudoma as the third Umkuka of the Bamasaba. The protest follows a meeting held at Mbale District Headquarters and chaired by the State Minister for Gender and Cultural Affairs, Peace Mutuzo, where leaders from Masaba land participated and resolved to have Jude Mike Mudoma as the third Umkuka.
Following the two conflicts in Masaba land on who should take over the throne as the third Umukuka, the Minister for State for Gender and Cultural Affairs intervened to provide an everlasting solution to the conflicts. Peace Mutuzo mediated a dialogue where the two factions of Inzu ya Masaba, one led by Jude Mike Mudoma and the other led by Amran John Wangabyalire, stressed their issue, particularly the procedures through which each was elected to the throne. But the resolution has not gone well with sections of youth in Bugisu who converged at the offices of Inzu ya Masaba and expressed discontent.
For us, we are Masaba people. We have come here with disappointments about the election of the new Umukuka who has just been appointed. We had, at first we elected the Umukuka who was John Amran. But unfortunately, from today we heard that they have appointed the new Umukuka. Where the people are supposed to be voting, the Umukuka
should really look into this matter. We elected, Umukuka was elected, and according to the procedure, the whole procedure was done, what was followed. Compared to what happened with Mudoma, where they say that he was elected on a street called Inaboy Road in Mbale, and he was finally installed in a bar called the Sports Club. Yet we have there is Inzu ya Masaba headquarters. That's Malu, where everything is supposed to take place. And when Omukuka of Masaba should be coronated, it's supposed to be coronated somewhere called Mtoto, and which is a cultural center of Bamasaba.
In a meeting attended by Inzu ya Masaba elders, Bugisu district chairpersons, RDCs and religious leaders resolved to have one cultural leader, Jude Mike Mudoma, as the next Umukuka. The motion that supported Jude Mike Mudoma was tabled by Reverend Jackson Magombe and supported by Honorable Vincent Wamboya, among others.
Reverend, who is also a delegate, if this house can second that motion, yes. Where our elder Gaviare is going to be part of the team, yes. Where Mr. Mudoma will lead and the rest of us will be accommodated. Yes. I don't see any other reason why we must waste time.
To request that you choose a team of maybe 5 to move a bit with our elders, the two of them, come back with a decision.
After making consultations up there with especially the people of Mwambu, they are actually saying that as far as they are concerned, the first procedure which was followed by the traditional Inzu ya Masaba was right.
The youth, however, asserts that all the district leaders involved in resolving the matter should not be engaged in cultural issues of the land. The youth have now given a 2 weeks ultimatum for Inzu ya Masaba to reverse what was passed by the minister. According to Mr. Wepondi, the Inzu would prefer a referendum to determine the illegitimate Bamasaba cultural leader or even go to court if need be.
Every 27th of March from 8:30 p.m. to 9 p.m., Uganda observes the Earth Hour Day with the aim of conserving the environment and to reduce greenhouse emission. Now, this year's Earth Hour Day was held at Uganda Media Center in Kampala as one of the activities to climax the Water and Environment Conservation Week. The Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, His Grace Dr. Samuel Kazimba Mugalu, witnessed the press briefing.
The Minister of Water and Environment, Dr. Sam Chaptoris, has decried the effect of pollution caused by the imported second-hand vehicles to the country's environment.
I don't think these Ugandans, if you told them to buy new vehicles, they will say it is beyond their reach. But I want to urge Parliament to revisit that section where they are allowed vehicles which are even 15 years old to enter this country.
Chaptoris attributes this to the negligence by some Ugandans about environmental conservation.
We are trying as much as possible to protect our wetlands. Unfortunately, these greedy Ugandans have found all ways of ensuring that they destroy the wetlands. They now do it at night, or they do it during public holidays. You will find that they have built all around our lakes and the rivers. The river banks have been encroached on.
The Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, His Grace Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, who attended the press brief, appealed to all Christians in the country to care for the environment.
Let us switch off from deforestation and the purpose to plant trees to make Uganda green again. This environment, we should ensure that we protect the trees, we protect the environment, because these trees belong to God. They belong to God. We are stewards of what we have been given.
Kazimba also urged government to encourage all Ugandans to use renewable energy like gas and solar energy, which does not impact on the environment.
It is now time to support our mothers get access to efficient and renewable cooking technologies by exempting them from taxation. Because if we are fighting this, we should ensure, on the other hand, we make it easier for our mothers and wives to have these technologies, which will really save us from these issues we are talking about.
The country director worldwide for nature disclosed the impact of using plastic materials as the main challenge, leading to environmental degradation.
I think there are alternatives that are out there that can be harnessed. We can do innovations in the use of other forms of papers, bags for carrier bags. We can also innovate on the bottles, have bottles that are reusable, and we can also, innovate by incentivizing some of these factories that are manufacturing these plastics.
Although policies have been enacted to curb the challenge of environmental degradation, David Duros says these laws are weak to punish the perpetrators on the environmental change. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Now, traders in Isinjiro Town Council are up in arms protesting the introduction of street parking fees by town authorities. While the town council officials remain silent on the matter, the RDC Isinjiro, Herbert Mohanji, says that Isinjiro Town is not yet at the level which the town council should be collecting these parking fees.
Let's go.
Taxi operators and traders in Isinjiro Town Council have protested the introduction of parking fees.
Street parking ejo mu Uganda yona town council Isinjiro nabwo kinyibandiza mu town council.
Hati abantu tachiro omuntu noku akusiba mu burete naja tukunda rugembara nindabaho nzaka hirimbi ngura mugati ningarugaga finally tubasaka bantu ronde musoro konka tuite minji
sasula gunono nareterwa wano sasula gunono tukoye.
The protesters claimed that whenever customers come with vehicles to buy from their shops, the street parking wardens immediately issued them a parking fee receipt, and as a result, customers have started shunning their businesses. Each of the parking tickets should be 500 shillings, but in Isinjiro district, traders pay 5,000 shillings regardless of the location and minute parked. Unlike other councils in the region, traders are wondering why Isinjiro is the only town council that is charging street parking.
Tosobala kungamba nti Kanungu teina street parking.
abave kanungu mmanyiyo nokirire ntumwa nokirire ibanda tewali naye isinjire tanabera municipality yo munkubo nogamba nti erimuki sit parking.
DRDC Isingiro District Herbert Muhangi, however, says the Isingiro Town Council has not yet attained that level of authorities to charge parking fees.
The local government also to adjust and understand the circumstances our people go through. If it is time for COVID and time for the other 2016 drought, then it means the agricultural process is now regaining. So the formula that they use that to do assessing, it's good they review.
Isingiro Town Council authorities have therefore been urged to hold street parking fees to relieve traders who are already struggling with the impact of COVID-19.
We had introduced this tax to increase our revenue because our revenue base has dropped.
You cannot do much when you don't reconcile, when you don't have consensus, especially in areas of business, in areas of management, and in areas of tax correction. These days, tax correction is a consequence of consensus. If a person knows the purpose of paying and is able to see the accountability, when he has paid what has come out, payment becomes easy.
Some valid points right there. On the contrary, government has been applauded by residents of Masaka for constructing a state-of-the-art road they expect to use profitably. The MASAKA-BUKAKATA 41-kilometer road construction was started in 2019 and is now witnessing its final touches ahead of the official handover.
Since time immemorial, this MASAKA-BUKAKATA road has been maram, with this affecting all spheres of life of those in the vicinity. But now, under the National Resistance Movement government, the 41-kilometer road that links Kalangala district at Bukakata landing site is a first-class tarmac road.
It has threefold. One, this road should be used for economic empowerment and household income of our people. This road should be used to transport goods and services to the market. There is no reason now why you should hesitate to go into production, because it will take you the most shortest possible to reach your products in the market. Therefore, it's time now to work that you get items that can pass through the road.
The Masaka Resident City Commissioner Fred Bamwini, however, issues a stern warning to the public that has engaged in theft of materials that is derailing the construction.
As we end this contract, still there are some maringaras who have been misusing and stealing road equipment, like aggregates, like maram itself, like coal tar, like siphoning fuel, like cement, like iron bars, which may compromise the quality of work. Therefore, for us as security agencies, we have already put up our teams together. Any person we find in this kind of mischief activities will be arrested and taken to courts of law.
The road that also stretches to Lambu landing site has been constructed by Arab Contractors Uganda Limited amidst major challenges like increased water levels that caused major delays.
At least the road is almost done. People are moving very well. It takes almost just 20 minutes for people to move from Nyendo to the ferry. And the most challenges we faced on this road were the weather. The weather was so challenging.
Such infrastructure developments are just a few of what government is achieving to enable the public benefit as they engage in income-generating activities like trade.
Now, as Christians wind down the days of Lent and near Easter Day, timely God-led club of Mukono has reached out to the vulnerable with goodies that will enable jovial Easter celebrations. Now, this is the umpteenth time that the club engages in such social corporate responsibility drives that they plan to spread countrywide.
Timely Godland Club of Mukono has inked its name amongst Ugandans with acts of kindness directed towards the vulnerable, with focus mainly on people living with disabilities. Yet again, with Easter Day approaching the Aratit, with the several stops in Mukono benefiting the public with required amenities to make the day memorable.
We are in Easter season, and at Timely God-led club, we believe that every time you give to somebody that is not going to pay you back, you are lending to God. And that very God whom you lend to will give you back. Today we have decided to share the joy with our people in the district of Mukono who are living with disabilities.
During their latest stop, more than 500 beneficiaries received rice, maize flour, soap, mattresses, bedsheets, and sanitary pads, among others.
He said, I was naked, you clothed me. I was lonely, you came to me. I was in prison, you visited me. I was thirsty, you gave me to drink. These people need our help. And so, please, there are people in your surroundings. Give until it hurts.
The activity was flagged off by Mukono Chief Administrative Officer Fulatu Nambozo and graced by world-renowned musician Eddie Kenzo.
I feel so blessed to be here with the people that have a big heart to help. I think this means a lot, all of us, even the people that are out there. You should go and please change your life. Do something in your community. It starts from your community. Everything starts with you. If you want a help from God, please help first. If you want to be blessed, bless first. Be a blessing to your community, please.
Okay, thank you. Me, I'll continue thanking our partners who have come to bless our people in Mukono, and the group that has been blessed are the people with disability.
The latest act of kindness was spread in several Mukono locations like Impata Sub-County and Katosi. Timely Godland Club is a charity and non-profit entity founded by Brenda Marion and Emmanuel Binaisa, and has over the years donated whatever they can to change lives of people with focus on the vulnerable.
The Diocese of Ankole has embarked on a project in form of a retirement package for the religious leaders who retire from active church service. Upon completion of the pension project, each church minister will be earning at least 300,000 Ugandan shillings per month.
Ankole Diocese is constructing a 5-storied commercial structure in the heart of Umbara city to benefit retired church ministers. The money collected monthly shall support the retired clergy, bishops, and lay leaders to have a comfortable life. This comes after the diocesan bishop, Reverend Dr. Sheldon Mwesigwa, identified financial problems of retired church ministers during their retirement and decided to initiate this project.
When they retire, they become poorer and poorer. So this project will help those people who go for retirement to be benefiting from this project. In it, we have bank halls in it. Then we have restaurants and hotels. We have supermarkets.
Ankole Bishop Sheldon Mwesigwa says providing support to the church ministers and workers when they are off active church is godly. The bishop wants other dioceses to minimize expenditure on non-profitable things, but also think of projects which can sustain and ensure the future of the church and those who worked for it is secured.
I think one of the things which helped me also, I was a civil servant, I was a teacher, so I was on pension. I even got an early retirement. I'm a pensioner here. So it opened my eyes to say, really, when people retire, they need to have something to depend on.
Other projects are the Mothers Union, 5-storied mall, and a child's church. The diocesan projects include a diocesan commercial buildings, the diocesan museum, the diocesan millennium circle, radio station, and the university. Mutunyi Hilda, UBC.
Luemiaga Member of Parliament Theodore Sechikubo has officially broken the silence by announcing his bid for Deputy Speakership of the 11th Parliament. Sachekubo asserts that with his long-time experience as Member of Parliament, his choice for the Deputy Speakership is not by coincidence, but rather readiness to steer forward the Honourable House. We shall maybe give you that story later on as we proceed. Now, Caritas Uganda has shared with various Catholic dioceses and other stakeholders projects aimed at eradicating poverty in Catholic dioceses across the country. These include modern agriculture, oil and the gas sector, irrigation, coffee production, access to finance and sexual gender balance. Caritas Week is an annual general event bringing all the Caritas's directors and women coordinators to reflect and review previous programs and plan for the future.
It's the whole of Uganda, and we are here in Hoima, the city of oil, as celebrating Caritas Week. All the dioceses, 19 dioceses are here, the directors and the women representatives, and also some sections of society, including some government officials.
Caritas Uganda has invested close to 11 billion in its campaign against COVID-19 pandemic. This was disclosed during Caritas Week that attracted the Caritas directors and women coordinators to reflect and review previous programs and plans for the future within Uganda Catholic dioceses.
Caritas Week is an annual event that takes place on rotational basis from diocese to diocese. But we as the directors of the dioceses have agreed that every year we hold this on ecclesiastical basis.
That the directors that are promoting development to come and sit together annually to share experiences so that they can harmonize operations and at the same time harmonize the work or advocacy on issues that are pertinent to the whole country or to a given region.
The National Director Caritas Uganda, Monsignor Dr. Francis Ndamira, commended Ugandans for participating in Caritas Uganda activities for socio-economic development.
In Caritas Week, all the dioceses, 19 dioceses are here, the directors and the women representatives, and also some sections of society, including some government officials. We are here to celebrate our activities every year, because we do a lot of things. Caritas Uganda, Caritas itself is a Latin word means charities, helping the most vulnerable people.
The meeting also drew strategies aimed at improving household incomes, especially in the wake of COVID-19.
The $10 million investment, which Bishop Vincent Lawo is spearheading, so we think we can create a partnership, among others, with the oil companies. Give them good facilities instead of flying their people to wherever they will be here in Bujumbura.
Which ways of closely follow up and some kind of watchdog also to make sure that this framework is taken care of and implemented.
They also discussed on how to uplift vulnerable persons, the poor, those with disabilities, and adoption of emergency response to refugees, care for children and women.
But Caritas Uganda has come on with the policy option for the poor, option for the most vulnerable, and we have got there for our programs. The program was on food security and income generating. When we enter into communities, we are in communities all over Uganda, and we have.
The UBC News Tonight shall take a short commercial break. When we return, we'll be back with business.
Kapo, you seem to be in a hurry. Where are you going to?
I'm going to pay URA visit.
But you can access URA online. Why pay a visit?
To know more about the Kakasa business solutions, namely digital tracking solution, the voluntary disclosure program and electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution, which have turned my business around. You know I need to be on top of my game to protect my empire. If you know, you know.
I too need to know what Kapo knows.
Kakasa,
Be sure you are in charge of your business. Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Wait.
No one should stop you from finishing what's yours. That's why MTN gives you data bundles that don't expire. Load MTN Freedom Bundles using My MTN app and enjoy the freedom to finish your data bundles. MTN.
That's their way of stopping HIV. What about you?
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action. And it never tasted this good.
It's better to foster respect instead of fear and pain.
Cause a good school equals a better life.
Raising voices.
Welcome back. You're still watching UBC TV. Inspiring Uganda. Always, we now take you to the business segment. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected educational systems, or rather, it is now a year since Uganda's transport sector felt the impact of COVID-19, save for export sector that remained operating economic stability. Now, the country has, however, since overcome this fear after the coronavirus curve went flat, although experts seem to be worried of the emerging laxity in the implementation of SOPs in public places.
The transport sector that was identified as a major agent in the transmission of COVID-19 was the first to be slapped with a lockdown on March 18, 2020, as part of the measures in the presidential directives to counter the spread of the pandemic. International passenger flights were stopped. Inland road transport movements were also put to a halt, hence paralyzing the entire transport industry, save for trucks and air cargo flights, whose role remained crucial to the micro and macroeconomic stability of Uganda and the region at large. In what was a lacuna in tightening the enforcement of the lockdown on the transport sector, on March 22nd, 2020, the first COVID-19 case was reported at Entebbe International Airport involving a Ugandan who had just landed at the airport from a business trip in Dubai. Health Minister Dr. Ruth Acheng alerted the country on the outbreak. This called for more adjustments in the SOPs that had been announced in the presidential directives to manage the transport sector. First, public transport means were stopped, even when the lockdown on the public transport sector was eased A matatu that used to carry 14 passengers was compelled to carry only 7 passengers to maintain social distancing. While avoid to touch surfaces of the body, handshaking and walls of buildings was crucial in the fight. In public places like taxi parks and terminal routes for coaches plying up country, hand washing facilities like water cans containing radiant like sanitizers were provided.
Engaging different sectors and transport inclusive, and we distributed hand washing facilities to all our transport terminals.
Although operators of taxi parks and bus terminals had started complying to the Ministry of Health regulations with the procurement of temperature guns to measure temperature and enforcing wearing of face masks, still the lockdown on the transport sector was extended for more 4 months. This not only affected the sector, but had far-reaching consequences on the mechanical conditions of the vehicles that had been parked for a long time. According to transporters and operators, many of these public transport vehicles had been acquired from bank loans that needed to be serviced. This amounted more pressure on the sector.
Drivers and owners of taxis, we had loans, of which loans we had to pay, even if we stayed along about 5 months without working. When we went to lockdown, we found our vehicles after resuming work had mechanical faults, of which we had to go to garage first before we resume work. Like batteries had gone down.
Among the other SOPs that were envisaged to put the transport sector to order, as well as be used as inroad in scaling down the COVID-19 cases, all taxis were to be registered and also route charts designated for them. The resumption of transport for coaches plying inland routes was okayed, but with limitations on the number of passengers. Each coach plying inland routes was compelled to carry only half of its capacity. However, interstate coaches still remain under lockdown, but save for a few. This still affects small pockets of the transport sector, like in Namaiba bus terminal.
People who are working in those buses, let me say drivers, conductors, booking clerks, turnmen, they are all down. They have no jobs. In time, we had offices. These buses, they had offices which they are booking. They had stores. Even the shops around, they are closed because of the same thing.
Yazid is a bus driver plying nearly all routes in the East African region, but says to some of them that have been okayed to operate, they often disorganized by the curfew. Many of them are held at border points overnight. However, Yazid, like many, urged regional leaders to have a unanimous position on interstate operations of coaches plying the region.
Dear Kenya, tukola naye embeere y'omukube tukaluubiriza nnyo okukulagira ng'obulayo kilomita nga 30 nti weebakaawo ate osimbulewo enkyo olugendo lubadde olw'olunaku olumu ekitundu ne lwera lwa nnaku 2 oba ennaku 3. Saidi ya Kenya ya Uganda abasirikale abali ku kkubo bakyatutwalira mu mbeera gye twali tutambuliramu nga tewali kafiyu.
Whereas the line ministries of health and Kampala came up with several SOPs to regulate the transport sector in the fight against COVID-19. Key to detection of COVID-19 patients was the issuance of public transport regulation forms. Operators in the transport sector were meant to capture particulars of each passenger prior to boarding off. The aim was to simplify the tracking mechanism and easy identification of contacts.
We gave them checklists to use whenever it was where they would record information pertaining temperature of a traveler, destination, where he's coming from, for ease track of record.
Even someone boards a bus, we make sure that we measure your temperature, and there are forms which we fill. Whoever enters the terminal has to be checked first, and they submit those reports at the exit of the gate there.
According to the taxi leadership, there has been compliancy on the side of drivers and conductors, but passengers are being pushed to follow the standard operating procedures. A similar situation is playing out in the bus transport sector.
The challenges of public avoiding obeying the directives by refusing to wash hands, to sanitize, saying that we are just wasting their time.
Some of them don't want to adhere to the SOPs. You tell somebody to wash his hand, to put on the mask, it's a tug of war, especially those ones whom we call elite.
It's off, we have complied, but the only challenge we are getting are the passengers. You find yourself, someone comes without a mask, you have to force him to buy a mask. Washing your hands is also a problem.
Ministry of Health observed some level of compliancy at first, but now notices relaxation.
With the time, we notice relaxation. The people are starting to relax. Even the number of passengers in the buses and the taxis is increasing. But we also see that the use of masks is going down. Of course, sanitizing, that one has not done very well.
In the taxi business, they suspect only one of the drivers contracted coronavirus and died. However, since that incident, no COVID-19 case has been reported in any of the taxi parks under surveillance.
Except one who went into 14 days of isolation and he died. And he was buried in a special way in a Kawohi district, and he was a chairman of the stage.
While it may be a positive move in the scaling down of COVID-19 cases, the public perception that COVID-19 is no more, if not well articulated, may turn to be a major setback in the resurge of new COVID-19 cases.
Public, I could say that they neglected or they relaxed by the time they have taken from lockdown, thinking that this COVID-19 pandemic is no longer a threat.
We are working out a modality of meeting with the people who are in the transport sector to ensure that we re-energize the SOPs to avoid any eventuality. Because now, in case of any problem, now it would hit more because people have over-relaxed.
We stand the risk of the disease coming up again. Of recent, the disease had gone down, but now as people become relaxed, as people don't take the SOPs very serious, we fear the risk of getting another wave. We stand a very high risk of getting very many cases coming up again. And this is likely to be soon than later.
I'm Nafka Farida in Kampala.
Now, agriculture is majorly dependent on human resource capacity, the extension staff for delivery of agriculture development technologies to the farmers. Lecturers and instructors from various agriculture training institutions, extension service providers from Sasakawa Africa Association is holding a meeting in Kampala to harmonize on the tools to improve extension services for the good of the Ugandan farmer.
Gaps between extension workers in the field and the extension capacity building from institutions of higher learning in Kampala has been held. Lecturers from learning institutions and members of civil society say that there is need to apply integral methods of production as a way of making a paradigm shift from subsistence to modern production.
That for change to happen, we need to have an attitude set. And so in this, it cannot be taken on by one program or one institution, but in partnership with different organizations, that we are able to gradually encourage attitude change towards quite a number of these practices so that we move away from business as usual.
The transition from subsistence agriculture to market-oriented and finally to commercial agriculture requires a set of conditions beyond human resources. Because we as a university, we might produce the graduates to actually offer technical advice and extension services, but then do the farmers have access to appropriate financing? Do the farmers have access to appropriate inputs, improved seeds and improved breeds of livestock? Do they have access to markets which can stimulate them to production?
Identified gaps include agricultural development, which depends on technology, research and capacity of the extension.
Extension service delivery is key, because without the professionals, without adequate skills of these agriculture extension workers, then all these other efforts will not build up to the fruit that we need, because we need the farmers to be capacitated.
But what we are looking at as Sasakawa is partnering with the various actors, including input companies, including academic institutions, and of course we cannot forget the government, because we have an MOU with the government through the ministry to complement the extension system of the country.
The country director Sasakawa Africa Association, Dr. Roslyn Nyamutale, says strengthening the institutional capacity to produce relevant agriculture extension staff is key in addressing the ever-changing needs of agricultural production.
The purpose of this meeting is to strengthen our partnerships. Sasakawa Africa Association has the human resource development component, which looks at developing the capacities of extension workers through their universities where they go for the studies, but also it focuses on developing the capacities of the field extension workers.
Participating universities include Makerere University, Uganda Christian University, Gulu University and Wisitama University, where there is a Department of Agricultural Extension Training. Story compiled by Douglas Setumba for UBC News.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action, and it never tasted this good.
Now from across the region, just in Kenya, counties of Nairobi, Nakuru, Kajiado, Kiambu and Machakos in Kenya have been put on lockdown with effect on Saturday. That's today. Now, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta declared the 5 counties disease-infected zones and hence banned any movement in and out of 5 as combined block. Curfew hours in the 5 counties have also been adjusted to begin from 8 p.m. effective Saturday, the 27th, but will remain at 10 p.m. in other 42 counties across the country. Kenyatta, who outlined new measures to fight the coronavirus, said the 5 counties accounted for the highest number of confirmed COVID-19 infections, forcing him to take the unprecedented move to save lives.
Into and out of the disease-infected area as one zoned area comprising of the counties of Nairobi, Kajiado, Machakos, Kiambu, and Nakuru.
Uganda's national netball team, the She Cranes, registered its first victory at the Spa Challenge Tri-Nations netball tournament in South Africa. The She Cranes overcame Namibia's Desert Jewels 49-28 in a game. Joan Nampungu was named most valuable player. She captain Stella Oyela believes that the feat will enable the team in upcoming engagements, starting with a date against the Spar Baby Proteas at the Cape Town Convention Centre. For starters, this Tri-Nations netball tournament has 5 teams contesting a triple round robin, whose winner will be known next week.
Yeah, we have improved our performance according to yesterday's game. Yesterday we lost a bit, but we went back, we relaxed, and we set our minds for today's game, and we still need more and more wins because we came here to compete, not to participate. That's our motto, and we are going to show a good play. We are still showing you a good play, and our girls, our players, they are still ready to compete in this tournament.
Yeah. Today's game we have improved a lot according to yesterday's game. Yesterday's game we relaxed a little bit according to the injuries we got on the court. We went back and we do analysis, and we found out that we did some silly mistakes, but we went and organized it. That's why today we came when we are strong and to give all what we had and what coaches gave us. That's why we had to come in court strongly to see that today's game we had to win it.
The Uganda Cranes have held a final training session at home before departure for Malawi, where the Flames await them in a crunch Group B qualifier. The two face off on Monday in a game that decides who joins Burkina Faso for a place at the next year's African Cup of Nations final in Cameroon.
The Philip Omondi Stadium Lugogo has hosted Uganda Cranes final training session before the team's departure to Malawi.
We left with only one training session, and I'm very pleased with the performance, determination and commitment of all the players who have been able to train with us, and it gives hope that, God willing, we are determined to fight for the victory we need.
Malawi hosts Uganda in a do-or-die clash that determines who qualifies from Group B for the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon next year. The final session revealed a lot, with a striker Fad Bayo conspicuously absent, while Patrick Kadu and Abdul Mala trained separate from others.
There's a slim chance for the two Kadu and Bayo to feature into the game. However, we are still waiting for the final say from the doctors.
The good news though is that defensive pillar Murshid Juko and forward Alan Chambade trained. Team coach Abdallah Mubiru confirms that they aren't taking Malawi lightly and have studied its latest victory over South Sudan and come up with a 3 or 4 pronged approach for success.
I'm very sure that opponents are also going to attack because they need to get a goal, they need to win for them to be able to qualify. So they have to attack, okay? And probably it will be that moment of transition that will probably be the key factor for that day. The way we manage ourselves, immediately we lose possession, all immediately win possession.
Midfielder Moses Waiso, who missed Uganda's 2-0 victory over Malawi last year but lit up the Cranes' performance in the second half against Burkina Faso on Wednesday, dares to dream.
And some players that play in Malawi, they're playing in PSL, so they're quite good. So I'm sure it's going to be a tough game, but we're going to go 100%. It won't be easy.
With Burkina Faso already through from Group B, Uganda in second position on 8 points requires a draw to seal a place at AFCON 2021, while for Malawi on 7, only victory will suffice. John Barnes, Sentamo, reporting.
And that brings us to the end of our news tonight, this 27th day of March 2021. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold. Mugalu Mohammed on sign language. From the team, we must say good night.
Brought to you by
At Umeme, your safety is our top priority. Report illegal practices to Umeme when you detect them. Download the Umeme app for other services. Stay alert, stay safe, save lives. Umeme, powering Uganda.
Welcome. I hope you're still enjoying your weekend. It is time for the weather forecast from the Weather Center with Semper Alex Kim. Sunny intervals that progressively developed into cloudy conditions, then gave way into isolated but scattered rainfall across most parts of the country. By 9 a.m. This morning, some parts of the country reported rainfall, like Mbarara reported 47.5 millimeters, Kabale 25.8, and Mubende reported 17.4 millimeters of rainfall. And the kind of weather we're experiencing is mainly due to the rain belt being quite aligned over our region, though still in the west of our country, it is also receiving a push towards the east, and that is why there is a pickup of wet weather activities across most parts of the country. So we do expect to see sunny intervals across the skies of most parts of the country, apart from areas like Kasese, where we do expect some thundering rainfall, and along the Lake Victoria Basin, where we do expect some light isolated rainfall into the stretch to Masindi. Well into the afternoon, we do expect a pickup of wet weather activities in most parts of the country. You may have to carry that umbrella as you leave home in the morning. Because of this, we do expect to see temperatures rise to 30 degrees centigrade across the Karamoja region, 28 in Kampala, and 25.0 in Kabale Highlands. And elsewhere across the globe, we are forecasting falling snow, that is in Moscow at a daytime high of 8 degrees centigrade, whereas Mombasa is expected to have some light isolated rainfall at a daytime high of 32 degrees centigrade, and London at 13 degrees centigrade. With that, we conclude it. Stay tuned.
Brought to you by
At Umeme, your safety is our top priority. Report illegal practices to Umeme when you detect them. Download the Umeme app for other services. Stay alert, stay safe, save lives. Umeme, powering Uganda.
Up next on UBC, brought to you by
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money, simple, secure, borderless.